The COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine have kept the world busy, but while these two are important issues, our climate continues to get warmer by the day. So leaders from 40 countries met in Berlin for a common issue, how to stay focused on fighting climate change. It is a two-day gathering where on the first day, leaders tried to rebuild trust between the rich and the poor countries. This is a very core issue when it comes to fighting against climate change because data shows richer countries contribute the most to warming the planet, but the repercussions are mostly felt by the poorer countries. Developing countries are still waiting for rich nations to provide $100 billion in climate aid each year. This was a target that was meant to be reached by 2020. Big polluters have also long resisted the idea. The closed-door talks kicked off a presentation on the issue of loss and damage due to climate change.
The climate crisis has become the biggest security problem for all the people on this planet. That is why we will only be able to tackle the climate crisis together. The climate crisis knows no borders, which is why the response must know no borders. We must intensify our mutual efforts, and that's why we, in the German government, moved climate foreign policy to the foreign ministry in order to contain the century's biggest security threat on an international level.
Die größte Sicherheitsgefahr dieses Jahrhunderts eindämmen zu können.
The war in Ukraine has had a ripple effect. As Russia holds its fossil fuel supplies as a political weapon, Western countries are seeking alternatives. But climate activists had hoped that this will be a silver lining for the environment. They were optimistic that countries will cut their dependence on fossil fuels. Now there seems to be a slight chance of that happening.
Russia's war has convinced the last skeptical person in Germany that we need more renewables and energy efficiency to safeguard not only climate, but to safeguard our energy security. Renewable energy is also freedom energy in this time.
But activists also warn that it is better to not be too hopeful because there have been recent efforts to tap new sources of fossil fuels. This on top of all the fossil fuel that was already being burned and contributing to global warming. Burning fossil fuel is a short-term solution, but comes with long-term consequences.
We wasted too much time in recent years. We must now halve our climate efforts over the next 8 years, which is a huge exertion and which we can only master together.
This meeting is being seen as a precursor to this year's climate change conference. The COP27 will be hosted by Egypt in November. For many climate activists, last year's COP26 was a greenwash festival. It fell short of the very promises that the summit had aimed to tackle, and there has been no inspection of what countries are doing to achieve their climate goals. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.